No
matter what I do. Or what I do.
You're very kind. Thank you. I've had a little bit of a venturous morning already, guys. My daughter went to go out of school this morning and there was an ambulance and a fire truck and two police officers in my driveway. And I'm like,
Whoa.
yeah. So something's happened with my neighbor.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so I'm a little like, ooh. So let me just kind of find my stuff here. Actually, open houses. That's what we're doing, right?
Capture leads with open houses.
Yeah, it is. You have to click it the right direction. Makes difference. Yeah. So, all right, sweet, sweet. So you guys have had all the previous classes already.
Yep.
Spark your career, embrace your job, connect with your market.
My second. So.
This is your second round of Ignite. Good job.
Second class of Ignite.
Oh, number 2 class. Oh, wow. Good for you. Okay, tell me what your name is. Connor. Hold on. I know you. I do. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Katie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I do. It's your mom.
Yeah.
So,
For business stuff, or what'd you do?
kind of. I met her through, I was selling mascara makeup, and somehow through my cousin got connected with your mom, and then she joined with me with that. Yeah. So, and they're just traveling the world basically, right? Okay. All right. And then you married,
All the details.
I do. Well, we were in your ward. You guys moved into our rural ward right after you in Spanish Fork. You lived in the basement of
Bristow's.
yes, Bristow's.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no. We moved out right as you guys moved in, I believe. Yeah.
We were in the Spanish. So I didn't know.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Well, it's good to see you again. Exciting. Real estate. Yeah. Okay, so what were you doing? Because you've done a few things with your dad and yeah. Okay.
And like an Amazon type deal.
Yeah.
And I left that, did software sales.
Okay.
Hated it.
Okay.
Did that for about 2 years and then now.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, welcome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. How about you? What's your name?
My name's Michael Judd.
Okay.
Just took the test, my license this last week, and talking to the hunter today to activate my license here.
Yay.
Been over 5 of these classes.
Okay.
Not very consistently.
Okay. That's all right.
Be still full time with the next
Okay. Awesome. Sweet.
Utah and the Army and do whatever they want me to do.
Sweet. Well, welcome. Michael.
Yeah, I used to go by Judd.
Judd. Okay. Perfect. And where are you from?
Originally from like Cedar City area.
Okay. Awesome. Well, welcome. Sweet. How about you?
My name is Goetti, but I go by John.
John. Okay.
My name's John.
Okay, good. That's awesome.
I passed my exam in November. And
Awesome.
so I've been here 6 weeks,
Good.
just starting out. I used to work for FedEx, and I got pushed into retirement in November of 2023.
Okay.
Because the company's experiencing a pretty bad economic downturn. So my workforce, my division got cut 10%, and I took the hit for my team. And,
So kind of you. So kind of you.
I fell on my own sword. You remember me, guys? No, well, not voluntarily.
Right. Right.
But anyway, so I got my license in November, and so yeah, so I've been here for 6 weeks. My main prospecting activities are calling my SOI.
Yeah.
You know, I've accumulated over like about 360 contacts from my phone.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
It's nuts. So yeah, so I've got a big sphere.
Good for you.
And then my neighborhood, my area where I live in Provo. I used to walk a dog 3 times a week, so a lot of people know me. So that's my farm.
Awesome.
I designated that as my farm. So those are my 2 big activities right now.
Love it. Love it. And you'll find that your sphere is going to be well, I guess you kind of go back and forth, right? Like
Yeah.
your sphere is either going to be really, really supportive or maybe not so much, right?
Yep.
So that's awesome. It's good you got a great sphere already.
Sure, real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of fear of influence, all right? I called a lady, earlier this week. Her name was Dawn Dixon. I thought she was a friend of mine from my youth group days when I lived in San Diego. And you know, that was her married name. I thought it was this lady that I used to know, named Dawn Bauer. I call her up and she goes, well, what a surprise. John Goetti, how are you? And I don't recognize the voice worth anything. And so I'm like, great, Don, how are you? She goes, oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful and everything. And so I finally had to confess. I said, you know, Don, I apologize because I'm trying to make a connection here. I don't remember where we first met or anything. And she goes, you don't remember? I said, no. She said, we met on a dating site. And I'm like, oh God, really?
Oh,
She goes, yeah, we met on a dating site and we were messaging each other, we exchanged numbers. We started, you know, we were texting each other and she goes, man, and then, you know, we just stopped. And she goes, I don't remember which site it was, but you know, but wow, so what are you doing? And I told her, I said, well, I'm a real estate agent. And she goes, hey, can I have your contact information? My son makes really, really good money, but he is so laid back. I've been trying to get him to buy a house. Will you work with him? Hell yeah, you know. So-
absolutely.
And that's
awesome.
somebody that, you know, kind of out of the
Yeah.
blue. You know?
Yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. That's a great win for sure. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, and I just sent her a thank you.
Good.
And,
Good.
Is it okay if I leave at like 5 minutes to 11?
Yeah,
Cause
of course.
there's a Scott Leroy, class on DocuSign.
Yes.
And I just got set up on
Yep.
that. I just wanted.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
You know what? My class is probably not gonna last that long. I'm just gonna be honest. So it's open houses. I don't feel like there's tons of information to give you. It usually ends up being a lot of question answering by that time, so you should be good. Okay, awesome. How about we're just saying names, how long we've been doing real estate, like when you got your license, if you're working on your license, whatever you're at in that process, and then just a little bit about yourself. So do you mind telling me your name? Okay. A month? Okay, have you taken your test yet? Yeah, awesome. Sweet. Ready to go. Great. And where are you from? Okay. So what brings you here? Okay. Yeah. Yep. All right. A little more action up here. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Perfect. Well, welcome. How about you?
I'm Carlos Figueiredo.
You're what, Carlos?
Carlos
Okay, got it.
Figueiredo,
Okay.
from São Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah, and stayed for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Sweet. Nice. So you're ready to get going. What did you do before?
Was working at UVU,
Okay.
worked with refugees, with my students.
Yep.
And national and international students.
Awesome. Okay, sweet. Awesome. What did you do before Austin? I mean, you're fairly young. So, okay. And just started real estate. Good for you. Where did you serve? Sweet. Okay. Well, welcome. How many classes have you guys taken of Ignite? Have you been following it like you're in line? Okay. Third or fourth for you. How about you? Okay. Yeah, there's probably about 20. Yeah, about 20 classes. Okay. Well, the good thing is they just keep rotating around, right? Just keep circulating, so you can catch it anytime. I've done Ignite twice when I first started, and then I was probably, a few months in after joining Keller Williams. I joined Keller Williams in November. I've had my license since 2020. I got it in July of 2020. So right in the middle of COVID. And me and my husband had had his real estate license for 5 years prior, but didn't ever do anything with it. So he had got his license with his buddy, and his buddy just kind of took off with real estate. But my mother-in-law had some health issues, and my husband worked for a family company that my father-in-law ran as an electrician. And so they wired all of Edge's properties. And so my father-in-law had to step out to take care of my mother-in-law 24/7, but he wasn't old enough to retire. So my husband kind of took over the business a little bit until we got them stable enough that something could happen, and then we stepped out. So we started in real estate in 2020, and then we did one transaction that November, and it was, I will never forget that transaction. Not because it was the first one, but it was because they had rescue pigs. We had to find a house that they could have their rescue pigs. Mini pigs, mind you, but mini pigs are not little, they are still huge. So it was a very interesting transaction to try and find them a home, and we learned a ton. And so it was a great experience. From there, my husband decided he was just going to go back to school. We had had some crazy stuff happen in our life, and he decided to go back to work as an electrician. And we needed to buy a house, and you can't on a 1099. Sorry, that's my daughter. And so he decided to go back to work so that we could buy a house. And I continued on with real estate, and I was with Realty Path. And I had joined a team because I knew I always wanted to be on a team. I just have always been part of a team. I was in medical before, and so I'd been on a team of about 35 medical assistants, and so I just loved that aspect. And I worked with a team called Infinite Real Estate Group in American Fork, and it was an amazing start. But then I just felt like something was lacking. I needed a little bit more. I felt like my education I just needed more than what they were giving me. And sorry. Okay. And so I have a really good friend that I had met at Infinite Real Estate who decided to look around in other brokerages, and she ended up joining here. And then I followed her shortly after. So I joined in November of 2021, and I had at that time Shoni was doing what Cameron's doing. And so yeah, he was over, it was called Transcend at the time, and he was over that. But I was only maybe I joined the week of Thanksgiving, and then by after Christmas, like the week after Christmas, Shoni gave me a call, and he was just like, hey, we're making some adjustments at the office. Johnny was in Shoni's spot, and Johnny was moving into regional director, and so Shani was moving to that where he's at now. And so he just told me, I want you to meet with Red Sign team and see, if you like it. And so I met with Clay and felt like it was a really good fit for me, and that's where I've been since then. So I love Keller Williams. I love what they have to offer, the education, the knowledge. Everybody is so willing to help out. So I hope that you're on the, what's that? I have so many different WhatsApps. Is it WhatsApp? Is that what? Okay. Yeah, I got GroupMe, WhatsApp, Slack. I got all these things. I got to remember where everything's at. But yeah, WhatsApp. So hopefully you're on WhatsApp. If you're not, find out how to get on there, because there's lots and lots and lots of opportunities for agents to do open houses, show homes, unlock doors, whatever it is. So take advantage of that and learn from the other agents, okay? Let's see. So I'm going to do the best I can to follow this. So we're going to talk about capturing leads with open houses, some of the best practices to use, how to prepare and move forward, and just kind of what's going to be what I do, I guess. I don't know if it's necessarily always best practices, or what they say, but it's been successful. I've been successful. So Gary Keller says nothing else about your business will have as big as impact on it as the number of leads you have. Okay. So you've probably talked a lot about your sphere of influence and 36 touch. Have you got into that at all? Yeah, your touch point. So Leads is important. You want to make sure that you're using command. Yes, make sure you're taking those command classes. It's a lot to take in all at first, but command is going to be one of the things that helps you keep everything organized so that you know what's happening with your leads and who's responding and who you should be reaching out to. So just make sure that you're keeping up on that. So I honestly haven't ever taught a different Ignite class, but I'm assuming they kind of have all of these same layouts, right? So so a lot of people do have limiting beliefs about having open houses. You know, you don't have a listing to hold an open house. You don't have any signs yet. You may not know the answers to the questions. Most people look online or I won't feel safe. So we're going to kind of touch on all of these just a little bit and show you that it really can happen even if all of these are true. My gosh, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn this off really quick. Maybe. I don't know where it's at. All right, well, we'll just hope it doesn't ring again. All right. Let's see here. Hello. There we go. So capturing leads with open houses. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about open houses. Why do we have them? How do we benefit? What's the reason? What do you guys think? Why do we have open houses?
I think the reason why we have open houses is because it is a marketing and promotion tool.
Yep.
In our arsenal of things.
Yep.
The other thing too is, I think it's a good way to attract people in general.
Yep.
The last open house that I did, I partnered with Kate, one of the other, new members of the team.
Okay.
And we had a good turnout and probably about half of the turnout were neighbors that wanted to see the house simply because it was a flip. So somebody bought it and then they just gutted it.
Got it. So they kind of watched that process.
Yeah, they wanted to see what the end result was. And still, I mean, they were open to talk to us and everything. So it was a big experience.
Awesome. Awesome. So I have I'm gonna shut this off. It's a lender that's calling me. He wants to meet with me at noon and I don't want to meet with him. I know that's really rude, but I don't want to today. So I have a slide. I don't know how to put it up there, but in my listing packet, I have some information about what actually sells a house, right? And open house is like yard sign and an open house is like less than 4%. Okay, so they really don't sell houses, but you have a 4% chance still that it might, right? And what if it is that house that somebody walks in and wants to buy? So it's great. So how do you think the sellers benefit? Because people are getting their eyes on it, right? Buyers, what do you think? Besides being able to see the house, sometimes buyers they may have an agent, but I've had buyers say to me before, I really don't want to waste your time. So we'll just make a list of open houses and go check them out without you. Sometimes I appreciate that. You know, I'm like, yeah, go for it. As long as you hand them my card, that's okay, right? And they do. They're really good at that. If you have that BBA, that buyer broker in place, they're going to respect that, okay? So make sure that that is signed first. And it is now, you know, when you schedule a showing, you'll see that it specifically states that you have that BBA signed. So just make sure that you have a very frank conversation with your clients and let them know that this contract needs to be signed before you can take them to any properties or before they walk into an open house and before they go into any model homes. If your clients walk into a model home and you're not with them or they don't have a BBA, the builders will not honor you as their agent. Okay, so just make sure that your clients know that. So it is a good thing for buyers. It does allow them to see a lot more houses on their time frame, and it lets them eliminate houses that they think might work, but they're not 100% sure on, right? Okay, so the neighbors, what do you guys think? Besides the nosy neighbors, the ones that just want to know what's going on, tell me what else. They can. Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge thing, right? Yeah. What else? There you go. Perfect. Yep. That's probably the biggest thing with open houses in a neighborhood is that you're probably going to find somebody else that is questioning selling and want to know what the value is of their house and what kind of traction they're going to get, right? So they're going to come and check it out. Yep, 100%. And then how about you, the agent? Leads, lots of leads. Yep. Yep, definitely. So you can sit and collect all these leads, but you have to follow up. Okay. Honestly, that's the biggest key with anything, right? You have to follow up. So, this is talking about COVID. I'm not going to go into that. All right. So some of the benefits of open houses is they can be really inexpensive, or you can go super extravagant, right? Okay, so when I first started in real estate, I had to do a presentation on open houses. I had done a couple of open houses, but I ended up following a guy in California, and that is all he did was do open houses. And it was like a party. He did food trucks, he did drinks, and it was a huge party. Thousands of people came. Like, that is the only way he generated leads, was through open houses. And he was a multi-million dollar agent, right? He just did so much work off of open houses. There's lots of things you have to take into consideration when you're looking at the open houses. Would something like that fly in Utah? Yeah, it would. It would. You'd have to be very selective on what you're doing though, right? So it can be very inexpensive, which is nice because you can go out and start collecting leads. It's a great prospecting tool. You get a very high return on your investment. If you get one buyer out of it, it's worth all your time, right? When you're sitting at that closing table and seeing what your check's going to look like, it's worth it, okay? And then you get very qualified leads. Why do you think they're qualified leads?
Well, yeah.
They're already out looking. Yep. They're very serious, right? They might tell you they're just starting the process and kind of trying to get things going, but they've made the effort to get up and drive to the open house. There's some seriousness to it. Okay. Let's see. Ahas. You guys can just let me know if you have any ahas, okay? I'm very laid back and easygoing. So, okay, so there are some, yeah, yes,
About like generating leads.
yeah,
You host an open house ahead of time, canvass the area.
100%.
Say, hey, I'm gonna be having this open house, blah, blah, blah. My name's John. Please come to my open house. Have you ever, and then qualify them. Have you ever thought of putting yours on the market? Yada, yada.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Huh?
The next day, actually.
Are you?
Flyers out.
Yeah, where at?
PG.
Are you doing an open house tomorrow? Awesome,
Wow,
awesome, awesome.
that's cool, huh?
Yeah, definitely. How many are you delivering? Just curiosity.
I'm gonna go a little extra.
Yeah.
First time. So
Okay.
I'm gonna get like at least 50 printed, if not more.
Okay.
I'm gonna do all the surrounding areas. I'm out of flyers.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Perfect. So we're going to talk about that. That is one of the best practices that you could do. If you want a successful open house, you got to put in some time and effort to it, right? And so door knocking is a great way. Just even bare minimum dropping off flyers, right? I am not a door knocker. I'm just going to be honest. I have not gone door knocking. Okay. I probably never will. I just don't love it. I would much rather, I don't love cold calling. Who does? I mean, do you?
I'm
That's
sorry,
okay.
guys. I'm a very,
No.
very social person.
That's
Any
great.
Opportunity to blab, I will. I'm there.
Yeah. You know what?
Door knocking.
I wish I had like 2% of that in me, because I sit and stare at my computer and I'm like, like it is one of the hardest things ever. So, and then I have to like tell myself literally before every call, you're probably never going to see this person. Like, and if you are going to see them, they're not going to make you feel crappy, right? Or they're not going to make you feel crappy on the phone. You're going to connect and it's going to move forward and you're going to want to see them, right? If it's a bad conversation, who cares? But your head tells you differently. So that's great, John. That's awesome. That's a great talent for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. The reason why is because, since 2005, this is really weird. With FedEx, I went from the field to working out of my home office starting in 2005, which is when my ex-wife got really sick. Well, she was my wife back then. So I was able to take care of her and do my job at the same time. But man, I've been cooped up in the house until year before last, so I like having the opportunity to get out. It feels good.
Hold on just 1 second. Okay. Okay. So, open houses, I'll be honest, I'm not like a super huge, this is really bad to say as a real estate agent, but I am not a super great goal setter. I am learning to be better, okay, because I'm in real estate. And the last couple of years, I've done a lot better with setting goals. And so this has been one of my focuses after teaching the class and obviously being here at Keller Williams, is I really do try to sit down and set some goals for my open house. I want it to be super purposeful, and I don't want to waste my time or my seller's time or any lead that I might meet, right? I want it to be informational. And so sitting down and setting goals is a great thing to do. What kind of goals do you think you can set? What do you think?
Flyers.
The amount of flyers, yep. Okay, so there's a thing called circle prospecting. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Circle prospecting is delivering the flyers, or you can collect phone numbers. There's a thing called skip trace, and you can run an area and ask for so many phone numbers, and it will bring it into you. And then, of course, it will have the do not call on there, right? So do not call. If it says do not call on any of their numbers, then people have to be eliminated. So we cannot call them. But if it doesn't have that anywhere, then you can reach out to them and invite them over the phone. And I would probably do that. Let's just say your open house is a Saturday. I'd probably do that Monday or Tuesday. I would call everybody I can on that list, even if it's just to leave them a message. And then you want to make sure you deliver your flyers to remind them a couple days before the open house. And then circle prospecting is once the house is sold, you call them again and say, hey, just so you know, we've sold this house. It went for this much over. We have extra buyers. Have you ever thought about selling? Or anything along those lines, right? Just to follow up with them. And when I'm reaching out to them, I just be like, I want to interview you. I want to invite you. I want to personally invite you to the open house this weekend. It's at this address. This is the perfect time to be able to pick your neighbor. So bring anyone that you know that might be looking, right? So awesome. Let's see. And then of course you want to make sure that while you're there, you're capturing the leads, right? So yeah, make sure that you have a way for them to sign in and for you to capture that. And then you want to make sure that you're talking to them as they're coming through the open house. Okay, so you don't have any listings. So you're going to use somebody else's. How do you think you go about picking a house? Okay, so I live in Santaquin. I live in South Santaquin, and I do a ton of properties in like Juab County and San Pete. I've been in San Pete a lot. I do a lot down in San Pete, and it's a ways out there. I do not do open houses in San Pete. It's just not worth the time. Okay, it's very small town. It's just not worth the time and the money to put into it. Even though it's very inexpensive to do an open house, it's not worth my time. I've done quite a bit in like Richfield and Monroe. I've done a couple properties in Monroe. Again, I don't do open houses down there. So you do want to be selective, right? So I would probably pick a house in an area that I want to be known in, rather it's my own neighborhood or rather it's a certain neighborhood in Provo or something along those lines, right? You want to pick where you want to be known for, and that's where I would do my open houses. Okay. And then also you want to, well, okay, so sometimes I will bring a lender with me to an open house. I've never taken an inspector, and I wouldn't say that I'm calling them a speaker per se, right? I would just invite them to come. If you have, a lot of times, open houses is where you get first-time home buyers. Now, consider your price and your location, right? Because if you're doing a $1.5 million home, you're probably not going to have first-time home buyers walking through. But if you're in a townhome or you're in single family and 4 to 500s, you're probably going to have first-time home buyers walking through. And so having a lender there is smart because they can get pre-approved with that lender then and there. Then you can, have a partner with your lender. And a lot of lenders I know are open to that. And a lot of times they'll contribute to your open house. So they'll there's one guy that I know who does hot chocolate bars if you invite him to your open house. So, or whatever, right? Whatever in the summer. I've only done in the winter, so it's been a hot chocolate bar, but they'll help contribute to your open house. So it's fun to have somebody like that. But I've never done an inspector, but I'm sure that would be something that would be helpful for buyers because they can ask questions about the house just to kind of know what kind of condition the house is in. So not a bad thing. Let's see what else it says here. Okay. It's important to be aware of the area that you're doing in, right? You're doing the open house in. If you're doing open house down by BYU campus and there's a football game, I probably wouldn't host an open house, right? I probably would pick a time that there isn't a BYU game going on, okay? Wine and cheese open house, I don't know how well that would fly. Guess if you're in Salt Lake City, yeah, especially by BYU, yeah, definitely. That's why I say this guy that I kind of studied in California, he did big old, drink bars, like huge party in California. And that's just how it works great for them. Yeah. But here, probably like snow cones is a great idea. That's what I think. Something along those lines, right? I feel like Sundays are in Utah County are probably not the best. But that being said, people have done it and have been successful. So I wouldn't rule it out, right? And you got to make sure that whatever your sellers are allowed or wanting you to do or allowing you to do, just make sure it works with their schedule as well. Thursday night open houses tend to be good. I've had a lot of good response from Thursday nights. Friday nights tend to be good depending on the location, but usually here, Utah County, it's not too bad. I typically tend to lean towards Saturdays, 11 to 1. That's like my sweet spot for myself. Saturday, I'm going to be out in Fairview, actually, but this house is 2.1 million, something like that, 2.5 million. And we'll be doing an open house from 11 to 2. So yeah, it's important to just know what's going on in the area before you pick your time and the day. Let's see. Know your market. That's how you can distinguish that limiting belief of not knowing. Do some work. Look into the house. Do some CMAs. Look at the area. See what's gone on around you so that you can share those stats with buyers or people that come in and ask questions about it. Okay. Okay. Be safe. This is a huge one. So when I started in 2020, we were still on Zoom. So I never actually, even the whole time I was at Realty Path, I never actually met my broker in person. When COVID lifted, they did have classes, but the brokerage was in South Valley. And by that time I had joined my team. And so I didn't really feel like that I needed to be at the South Valley office because I was going to the office that my team had. And so we talked so much about safety, and honestly, it wasn't something that had ever even crossed my mind before taking these classes. He kind of did like an Ignite session or Ignite classes, but it was just him. So anyways, he shared some experiences that he had had with a couple of his agents, and it was super scary. So after I took that class, I went and got my concealed weapons permit because I was like, oh, this is scary. Um, using the buddy system, huge. That's why if you take a lender or an inspector or even another agent, if you feel like that your open house is going to be busy, you've had great response with your circle prospecting, or the house is just priced, you know, just right in that sweet spot where you're going to be super busy, have somebody go with you, even if it's another agent. Find out a way to divvy up the leads, okay? Arrive early so that you can look at the area. And honestly, by the time you're getting to your open house, you probably should have already driven the neighborhood, right? Yeah, you've delivered flyers, but even if you don't deliver flyers, please just take the time to go drive the neighborhood, get a feel of where you're at. Yes.
Question.
Yes.
If you have done the research and let's say the property, you know, is, maybe there has been some illicit activity in the past in the neighborhood or the area or what have you, do you recommend, budding up, bringing somebody?
100%. 100%. So my husband has his real estate license. I mentioned that. He's not practicing real estate, but it's we still keep it active. So he's not inactive, he's active, but he's not practicing. But I take him with me all the time because I've had a couple of, even on my listing appointments, there's been a couple of listing appointments that I've been like, this is making me so nervous. So the one, it was a good thing he was with me. It was super, super scary. And then I had another one actually just this past fall. And let's see. Okay, I'll quickly tell you guys the story. Okay, so I had this listing that came up, and on Red Sign we have ISAs, inside sales agents. And so this particular listing appointment came from an inside sales agent. So I did not know this gentleman at all, but they connected me with him, and he had been looking on our website and said that he wanted to sell his house. So I set up the appointment, and he was a single gentleman, and I like try to dig deep. I go through Facebook and just see what I can find, Google them and see what I can find on them. And there was something, I couldn't find much on him, and there was just something nagging at me that I should not go to this by myself. And so I took my husband with me and we went over there, and it was, it was a very interesting place. So we walk in and he's got all these pictures of his wife all around his house. And he had like pictures of airplanes and stuff. He had been in the military and had done something, I don't remember exactly what it was, but so he had all these really awesome military plane pictures of them, and so it was cool, but there were some pictures that were thrown in there of his wife that were super inappropriate. And so me and my husband are just like, this is so weird. So I sit down, I'm going through my presentation, and he's like, you don't need to do the presentation. I just want to sign. I need to get this sold. It was in November. He's like, taxes are coming due. I don't have the money to pay my taxes, so I need to sell. And I'm like, well, they're not going to come take your house December 1st. Like that's not quite how it works.
Right.
And but he was just so worried about this. And he kept telling me he didn't have any money. He told me that his wife had passed. He drove to the cemetery every day to see her, and he'd go wash his truck every day. This was down in South Provo, and I think she's buried north somewhere. And so I was like, okay, great, let's sign these papers. He's like, I don't have any moving boxes, because I started talking about how to prep the house. He's like, I don't have any way to do the moving boxes. We toured the home. He's like, I want to sell this weight set. I was like, great. I took pictures of the weight set. I was like, I'm more than happy to help you sell this. So me and my husband go down to Home Depot. We buy him some boxes. And while we're there, we run into one of our friends and we're telling them, you know, this is what's happening. And this guy's like, oh, I'll buy the weight set. So he went back to the house with us, bought the weight set, went home, got his truck, come and hauled it out. We got this guy all, like, by the time we got back, he had taken everything off of his walls and it was sitting in piles. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy, right? So he starts boxing everything up, and I leave with the papers and I start getting everything scheduled. And literally this is like the week of Thanksgiving. So we're off essentially, right? For Thanksgiving. And the day after Thanksgiving, he's texting me and he's like, hey, Amy, I'm free falling over here, and sends me Tom Petty's music video. Yeah. And he's like, I'm free falling over here. When are we going to get this sold? And I'm like, you have to chill, because we are very, very good at what we do. Right. So just let us get this done. I ended up not selling his house. We went on market and then I was like, dude, I can't work with you. Like, this isn't working. He had to come here and sign a couple of papers because I was like, I'm not going back to his house. And then he wanted me to pay for his gas, like crazy stuff. So anyways, I was like, you know what, Joe? His name was Joe Wood. And I was like, Joe, we can't. Like, psh, right?
Kidding.
Right?
I'm kidding.
So anyways, he ended up going through about 3 or 4 more agents in our office. And then he ended up going back to another agent that actually helped him purchase the place that sold it. And he had already signed a few, like there was like 3 agents prior to me that he had signed listing agreements with. But every time I reached out to see, hey, what's the situation? They were just like, nope, you can work with him. I'm not working with him. And I was like, okay, well, all right, I'll do it. You know, it's a listing. Why not? Yeah, no. Okay, so fast forward in September, I get this phone call, and again, no, this is a referral. So I had this property in Pleasant Grove in the spring that I listed for a friend of ours, and it's a cute little townhome, and I helped them sell it, and then they bought in Mona. Well, 3 months later, we get a referral or a call from this gentleman, and he's like, well, the agent sold this property to me in the spring. And so that's why I'm reaching out to you guys. And so Clay, he's like, Amy, this was your listing in the spring, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, this guy wants to sell it. So the gentleman that bought it from my clients now wants to sell this property. It's been 3 months. And I'm like, okay, great. Send me the information. I'll reach out to him and go check, go meet with him. So it comes across and it's Joe Wood. And I was like, oh no, absolutely not. Nope. But I had I was just like, I matched up the phone numbers and the phone numbers were different. And so I started looking again online and I was like, okay, I can see another, right? No, for reals. I'm like, okay, this guy, like, he's got issues. But I started like looking on Facebook and I found another Joe Wood and I was like, yeah, it's a 50-50 chance, right? So anyways, I show up there and I'm by myself and I had asked my husband to come, but at that moment his work wasn't gonna, sometimes he's flexible and can come with me, but this time he was just like, I can't. My husband works for Any Hour Services, and I pull up to the house and Any Hour Services is there and they walk out of his door and I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm gonna make sure that this guy's like not the Joe Wood that I know, right? So it worked out. I went over to him. I was like, hey, my husband works at Any Hour. Do you know who he is? And he's like, oh yeah, I know who he is. I'm like, okay, you just came out of Joe's house. Is he like normal? Like, I didn't know how else to ask him. I'm like, should I be nervous going in there by myself? Because if he would have said yes, then I would have just texted him and be like, I'm sorry, I need to reschedule, and then taken my husband with me, just because, yeah. So, but the kid from Any Hour was just like, oh no, he's totally fine. So I felt good. So buddy up, yes. Make sure you buddy up because it can get scary sometimes. When you get to your open house, make sure that you find an exit, walk around, make sure that when they're coming in, you have a way to get out, okay? Because if they come in and you don't feel safe, you can go out the other way and do whatever you need to do. Make sure your cell phone is fully charged, have all of the lights on. COVID doesn't really matter anymore. And then just make sure I don't know of any like market center guidelines other than the do not call. You can't call those that are on the do not call. I always have like pepper spray or bear spray with me in my pocket, or a buddy. Like, it's very rare that I guess it's about 50-50 that I have somebody with me. I try to take a lender. If not, then I'm definitely carrying something with me. So just make sure that you're aware of your surroundings, okay? Which is another reason why you should go check out the neighborhood. If it looks sketchy, you'll know that you need to be even more prepared. Yeah. Who wants to read that for me?
Difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus.
Yep, exactly. So I have had open houses where I've just thought, oh, this is so easy. I don't need to prepare. I know what I'm doing. I can just show up, put my signs out. It'll be great. And then I have very I'm very disappointed in the open house. But when I put some effort into it and I plan out my schedule and plan to have what I want to do within that particular market, then my open houses, I feel more successful. So definitely make sure that you're preparing. So I'll kind of go through, let's see. Okay, so yeah, a lot of work is done before the day before the open house, but honestly, if you've got it on your mind and you're preparing sooner than that, you're gonna have a better turnout. And you'll feel more accomplished, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So this is kind of, I'm gonna say day one. Let's go that way, right? Because it kind of depends on where and who you're working with. But once you've selected the house, you want to definitely start posting online, walk the neighborhood, inviting the neighbors, all of that fun stuff. Like I said, if I'm going to do an open house on a Saturday, then Monday and Tuesday, I would start doing the circle prospecting. I would be making the phone calls. Thursday, maybe Friday, I'd be delivering flyers. And then you're already, this yard sign's already going to be installed. Sometimes they have those little signs that say open house this Saturday. You could put that in the yard, so then that brings attention to the neighbors. Online activity is going to be your biggest place to advertise. I would post it in all the neighborhood, any neighborhood marketplace that you're involved in, post it in there. And if you're not in them, have your the agent that you're doing the open house for, or the sellers can do it, because you're just spreading the word.
Install yard sign?
Yeah, that will already be done.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you're gonna do like an open house this Saturday yard sign, you can go put that in. I would probably do that on like Monday though. So, let's see. Okay. Community neighborhood information. Make sure that you're getting the information and looking at your market. I don't do a ton about mortgage. That's why I like to have a lender. I want to stay in my lane. Interest rates, I would probably have information on. I would probably be able to explain in this market a 2-to-1 buy down, okay? Or a permanent buy down. I'd probably want to be able to explain that. And what else? As far as mortgages go, FHA, conventional. I'd want to know what the difference between those, and VA. And you would want to know if the house is going to qualify for those. So FHA and VA have some steeper guidelines. And if the property is a little bit on the rough side, then it may not qualify for VA or FHA. So that might be something that you want to be aware of, okay? If it's a cash or conventional only property, you'll want to be able to share that with the buyers. What else do they say? Okay. Okay, so as you're there at the open house, the biggest thing is to build rapport and trust. When you are confident and you welcome them in and you can carry a conversation with them and answer their questions, that's how you're going to build your rapport the fastest. I always say, because a lot of buyers will be like, this might be a dumb question. First of all, there's never a dumb question. And then second, if I don't know the answer, I'm just like, you know what? That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure, but as you look around, I'll see what I can find and get you an answer. And if I can't, we'll connect later and I'll have an answer for you. So just be confident in where you're going to get the answer, and that will help build that rapport. Okay. Instead of making stuff up. Yeah. Okay. So it's really important that you're capturing their information so that you can follow up with them. Now, if they have an agent, it's okay to still capture their information, but you're going to reach out to the agent. You're going to not reach out to the buyer, right? Because they have an agent. So they have that contract in place. You don't want to step on those toes. So I'll show you a couple of things that I like to do. Yes.
So you're hosting the open house if you're listing.
Okay.
doesn't the buyer, need to have an agent already? 'Cause-
Not necessarily.
So how does that work,
Yeah,
with,
yeah, because you can't represent both sides. Yeah. So there are ways around it, not to represent both sides, but you can assist the buyer. You can assist the buyer, but not as their agent, right? So you don't have a fiduciary duty to them. And there is a document called unrepresented buyer. So you could still represent your seller, but filter the paperwork for the buyer. And then on there, on your rep C, it will say unrepresented, but you have to have that unrepresented signed as well, right? So you can do it that way, or being on a team. If I have an unrepresented buyer and I am the listing agent, then I sometimes will pass it along to one of my teammates.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of times, if it's an unrepresented buyer, you can. So if you're doing a 3-3 split, like your seller is offering 3% to the listing agent and 3% to the buyer's agent, you can tell your seller that if they do come in and it is an unrepresented buyer, but you're going to be the one that filters the paperwork, they're going to save 1.5% but you're going to take an extra 1.5%. So your income would be 4.5%, and then they would get the other because it's an unrepresented buyer. Sellers really like that. Or however you want to do your percentages. Yeah. So when I host an open house, I usually have this right at the front door, like this. Okay. And this drops into my website, essentially. And then it has them sign in. It asks them a few questions. Once they put their information in there, it drops into my, it's not command, but it's like my CRM. Yeah. It drops right into my CRM so I can follow up with them. And it's also tags at open house. So I know where I've met them. So then I can follow up with them. Okay. So there's one way to do it. But a lot of times people don't love to fill it out, right? So I always have this sitting there.
Yep.
And if they won't fill it out, then I take it and fill it out for them. Oh, what's your name? Do you have an agent? Great. What's your agent's phone number? Or, I can always look it up, but I like to carry on the conversation, and then I just let them know, look, I'm not going to call you, but I may reach out to your agent just so I can get some information and feedback on the house. So I let them know that that's a possibility. Okay. So make sure you're doing that. That's the whole point of doing open houses. What else have we got? Greet everyone that comes in the door, engage in conversation and be positive. Hopefully you have a really super busy open house that you can't necessarily greet everyone as they're coming in, but you're catching them at some point, right? Let's see. Okay, so I've never really had a ton of people ask me, oh, tell me what red sign, tell me about that team. It's usually just the market, the house, what's available. I would know what else is available in the neighborhood. Because especially if they're an unrepresented buyer, you could say to them, oh, well, if this one doesn't work for you, this is what you're looking for. Oh, well, there's one of these just down the street. If you would like, I'd be happy to show you later today or whatever, right? Or next week, whatever. So know what's out there and for sale around there. Understanding personality types. Have you guys all taken the KPA, the DISC test? Okay. I bet one of these classes is going to tell you. You should. It's gonna tell you what personality you are. At our house, we talk a lot about the color code. Because anybody that comes into any hour for an interview, that's the very first thing you do is you sit down and you take the color code test. It's very, very, very helpful because you want to match the person that you're talking to. So if you can immediately recognize what color they are, then you'll be able to know their mannerisms, how they receive information, and you can play on that. So the DISC is a great way. You should go through that so that you know what they are, so that you can start picking up on that. Okay. And then having something to offer the visitors. This is like people go back and forth on this. Some people have treats and they give them a treat as they're walking through the house. Some people are like, oh no, I don't want them walking through the house with a treat. Some are like, I'll send it out the door. Some are just like, I don't want a treat at all. It's fine. There's not really a right or a wrong. This is saying having something to offer visitors, but I've just seen so many people be back and forth on that. I try to have something. Again, it depends on my location, how busy I think I'm going to be, how much prospecting before I have done. If I have truly done great prospecting from Monday, I will make sure that I have something there. A little bottle of water, a bag of popcorn, thanks for popping by, something super simple, okay? And then make sure that you've got your card or your name or your contact information or something on that treat, okay? Let's see, sign-in sheet, use command, KW app. Ask lots of questions. Ask them what they're looking for. Ask them how long they've been looking. Ask them if they're pre-approved. I like to say, so have you got your golden ticket yet? And they're like, what's my golden ticket? Well, have you met with a lender and been pre-approved? Once you have that golden ticket, you're ready to go. Gets conversation going, okay? Okay, you're there to get leads and appointments. Then pursue. So follow up and convert the leads after the open house. You need to make sure that you're updating your database, that you're setting tasks for you to follow up with them if it's not already automatically done. I know in Command, like if they sign up and it's under an open house, you can set it so that it automatically prompts you with so many days after to reach out to them. Command is like, these CRMs are pretty fantastic. They can keep you pretty well organized, but you do have to set it up. So make sure that you're taking those classes so that you can learn how to use that. Follow up with everyone, even the agents. It's so great to get feedback from agents. Because what if you are priced too high and you know that and you've told your seller that, but your seller's just like, if you have 3 or 4 other agents or even buyers say, I think you're a little above market, you know, that just might be what your seller needs to make the decision to lower the price a little bit or something. And then make sure that you reevaluate your goals. What happened, you know, how did it, how successful were you? Take note of the things that worked out really well, and then reevaluate what you could do different next time to make it better so that you can improve, okay? It is definitely a trial and error. And I would also take note of where you're at, like the location where you're at, because it is really different for different locations. Ooh, that was fast. That's okay though. Okay. I will just show you. I always have an open house basket. It's just easier. I have everything ready to go. Depending on my sellers, sometimes like right now I have a listing that's vacant. And so it is what it is, right? It's empty. I didn't have them stage it. It's not it's listed at 430,000 and it's in a cookie cutter neighborhood. So it's like the next door neighbors' houses are exactly the same. So I didn't have them stage. It's gonna sell. Like if we get closer, if we get up to like, I like to stage when we get a little bit higher, maybe 600,000-700,000. You want to make sure they're staged. People may have other opinions on that, but that's just what I've found. But I love to, when I'm sitting down with a seller and I'm getting ready to schedule out a timeline, right? If I tell them we're going to go live on a Wednesday, I usually don't do an open house the first weekend. I like to just kind of see what kind of traction we're going to get. And then I like to do it the second weekend. That's when I like to do my open houses. Now, that being said, again, it depends on price point. Because if I'm high, if I know we're priced a little bit high, I probably am not going to do an open house for a while. I want to do an open house when I know I'm going to have activity. And then I also don't want to, like, I will do open houses on my listings, but I would so much rather give somebody else the opportunity to do the open house because I can't represent the buyer, right? I mean, I could help them, but if I could give an opportunity to somebody else to represent the buyer and work with somebody within Keller Williams, so much rather do that. So I like to give out my open houses as much as I can. But as I'm meeting with my sellers, I love to talk about their house. And when we're talking about pricing strategy and we're comparing to other properties that are on the market, I always like to ask them, so what makes your house special compared to this house? Or why do you think your house should be priced this when this house was priced like that? Tell me about that. And we talk through it. And then I like to ask them, what is something about your house that's like super cool that maybe most people don't know, or something that you're going to miss, something like that. And I like to highlight those. So I like to go around and put what I call hot spots around the houses. And again, I ask the sellers for what they like. Now, this house that I have in Santaquin that's listed, it really is like cookie cutter. Like their next door neighbors, their floors are flipped. It's the exact same. I didn't do hot spots in that house. I just didn't. If they had done something super cool in the basement or something, then maybe I would have. But I've had people say that they love their backsplash. So I've put on their hotspot and then I put a little sign that says backsplash under there. The laundry chute, that tends to be one that people think is super awesome. And so, you know, I'll put the hotspot sign and then I just label it laundry chute so that people know what we're talking about. But as they come into the open house, especially if they have littles, I like to show them this. I'm like, hey, there's a bunch of hotspots around the house. If you find them and count them, you can have a treat at the end, right? And so parents love that. And then sometimes I just say, hey, there's hotspots around, count them, let me know at the end, and maybe I'll give you a treat. It's just a way to like break that ice and that awkwardness. So I like to do that. And then of course I always have this, and then I always have a clipboard, a hand sanitizer. I always take like wipes. I usually have Lysol, but I just ran out. I gotta go to Costco today, but I always have some type of wipes and Lysol wipes, because if I'm hosting an open house with my sellers, I've already had a great conversation. But if I'm hosting an open house for another agent, I don't know what their processes are necessarily. And so I always take something in case I feel like there's a spot that I need to wipe up or whatever. I want the house to look good. So I'm not gonna clean the house, but if there's something that I could just touch up that's gonna make it present better, I'm gonna do it. So I make sure and have that. I always got like tape, scissors. I actually have a measuring tape in here. It's pretty crazy how many people are like, I wonder if our hutch would fit right here. And I was like, well, let's measure it. And they're like, oh, cool. You know, so sometimes I've had these. Yeah, it's just sitting there for them to take. It's a magnet, has my number on it. It's just a things to do list. These are super cheap on Amazon. So I've passed these out before. I'll have just a box of candy. Sometimes I've done popcorn, cookies. I've been to house where they've had like a full charcuterie board. Sometimes they've done it in like a little cup for refreshments. I always take toilet paper. So, and I try to take paper towel, but I usually have mostly take toilet paper because people walking through shouldn't ask to use the bathroom. But if they do, and it's a little, especially if it's a little, I'm not going to tell them no. I'd much rather them use the bathroom at the house than have to clean up a little mess. So I always have toilet paper just in case. If I go and it's vacant, there's never toilet paper, it seems like. So for myself too. And what else do I like to do? I think circle prospecting has been the biggest thing that I've been taking on. That's one of my goals this year, is to do circle prospecting on 2 open houses a month. Rather it's my open house or not, I can still prospect for them. But I haven't had to ask any other agents just yet. I've just had my own that I've done. Again, don't call if they have do not call anywhere on there. Don't reach out to them. What else? Oh, this is kind of cool. So I had a lender actually give this to me. So I put this on the front porch. Last weekend, my open house, there was 3 of us on the street that had an open house. Like, is this all the same floor plan basically, but I reached out to the agents before And I was like, hey, can I share your listing with my listing, you know, your open house, because we're all doing an open house at the same time on the same street. So can we just share it all out? Yeah, that's great. So that's what we did. We all shared out each other's listings. And then I love to signs. Signs are huge because that is one thing you will hear a lot. Well, how did you hear about the open house? Oh, I was just driving by and saw the sign. So you want to map it out and have as many signs as it takes to get to the main roads. So if that's 15, then do it. Like it's worth it. Okay. And I love to tie a balloon around them. Now, on really bad stormy days, a balloon's not going to do any good, but I do like to have a balloon. They're $1.25 at the dollar store. So I put one balloon on each sign. Last weekend, I was doing it with an agent that is like her office is she's a principal broker in Santaquin. And her signs, her signs were black and it was kind of a stormy day, but I had this big red sign and I tied a balloon to it. And I had like 3 people come and that said, oh, I saw the sign with the balloon. So like it makes a difference. Yeah. And guide them to the house. What else? Oh, so I have a listing that's coming up in the spring. 2 listings. It's a son and a daughter, or it's a husband and a wife, and then her dad. He lives in South Jordan and they live in Harriman, but their houses are like going to be in the same price point. And so they listed in the fall, and then she was having issues and she's pregnant, so she's having some issues, and they decided to pull off and wait till after she has the baby to move. But when we did the first open house, I was like, I had the information for his house, right, the dad's, but then I also had the information for their house because they were in that same price point. I was like, hey, well, if this isn't something that you're interested in, go check out this one, and vice versa. And the open houses were held at the same time. Actually, one of them, we actually did a split. So the first one was in the morning and then the second one was in the afternoon. And so the gentleman that did the open house saw the couple in the morning and then saw them again in the afternoon. So I kind of like to share that out a little bit. But you want to make sure that that's okay with your sellers because you are like sending them to another property. But this is what I think when it comes to that stuff, like the buyer's going to buy the house that they love. So if they truly love the house that they're in, you telling them to go look at another house isn't going to make any difference, right? If they're going to go look at the next house, they're either going to love the next house and you're not going to get them anyways, or it's going to solidify that they're going to put an offer in. So to me, it's just kind of irrelevant to not share that there's other opportunities, other properties out there for them to look at. So I've also heard of brokerages doing like, if they're doing multiple open houses in a day, they'll actually do like an open house train kind of and be like, well, go to see this house, go see this one, go see this one, go see this one. And they advertise that with the map of how to get to all the open houses. So that's kind of a fun way to get everybody to see the listings. What else? What questions do you guys have? I've talked lots.
Just as someone who doesn't have any listings, like
Yep.
how are we get in contact with someone to set up a?
For sure. I would definitely get on WhatsApp and be in the opportunities group. And as soon as somebody says who wants to do my open house, jump on it.
Yeah.
I would watch you can set up in the MLS like a listing alert for yourself, and you can specify a brokerage. And so if you put that listing alert in there and it's for this brokerage, you will get an email every time a property, or like you can set it up for instant or a certain time of day. And it will send you an email when a new property hits the market, and you can immediately reach out to that listing agent and be like, hey, I'm with Keller Williams Westfield as well, and I saw that you just listed this property. This looks like a great opportunity. I would love to host your open house. If somebody called and asked me that, I would be like, heck yeah. And then I would say, I will get you all the marketing material that I want to use, but then you'll do like, yeah, and you'll do the QR code so you can capture the leads. But my team we just have specific marketing guidelines when it comes to Red Sign. But again, you'll still get all the leads. This QR code would be for you, essentially. Yeah. But like the flyers and everything like that, we would prepare for you. So I do like to have, if somebody's doing my open house, I do ask that they door knock. I would probably be the circle prospecting this year just because that's like one of my goals. But as far as like, and I don't necessarily, not necessarily door knocking if I'm circle prospecting. If they wanted to, great, but flyers definitely. And I actually ask for 100 flyers to be ran around. So, yeah. And I haven't ever, so the skip trace program that we use, I actually just always let our team lead, his name's Cody. He skip traces and then sends me the phone numbers. So I don't know how that program works exactly, but I know that he can put in like the address of the property and then say so many out, and then it just picks for us. And he always sends me about 100. I think if there's like 75 on them on the do not call list, then he obviously expands it even further, right? So I can have more to call. But yeah, definitely. And door knocking, you're not going to be limited. Just you can door knock unless it says, I mean, even no soliciting, I'm like, yeah, but you're not. You're inviting them. So it's like, I don't know. Those are ones that I am like, yeah, we'll just tape it to the doorknob or something, right?
Yeah,
So
one farming.
yeah.
Probably one out of every 5 houses, maybe. And it depends on the neighborhood, you know, they'll have like no soliciting. I'm like, dang, do I knock or do I not knock?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I knock and they get pissed, well, I could tell them, hey, you know, I hate solicitors too, especially solar panels and, pest control, you know, but I'm neither. I'm here to give you something that I hope will value and introduce myself.
Yeah.
So I want to get in that debate with the person. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. That's like, and being in your own neighborhood, that it does like kind of make it a little bit easier because you can be like,
It does make-
hey, I'm not selling you anything. I'm your neighbor. I'm just here introducing myself.
Yep.
I am in real estate, but ultimately I just want to get to know you. Like I live and I just wanted to say hello. Like, yep. So that's a great thing to do for sure. We have so many realtors in our neighborhood and I get stuff on my door from them all the time, but I'm not gonna like, I mean, I don't hold on to it, but you know, I'm not gonna, like, we are all, yeah. And there's plenty of business out there for everyone. It's fine. It's fine. So, I've actually thought of like, I mean, just like I did with the other ones, none of them, one was with, the Lance group and the other one was like equity or something like that. Like, why not collaborate and bring more people in together to sell the properties, right? I don't know. Have you ever seen that? There's a saying that I see come around a lot and it says, a realtor talking to another realtor, it says, I hope you win. Like, it's true. Like, I want to be able to work with the other agent. Like, there is nothing that makes a transaction go more smooth than if you can agree and communicate and work together with the other agent. And sometimes you can't. So there have been times that I've been like, you know what? We should probably communicate through text message because I can't.
Got a client for you, his name's Joe Wood.
Right? Yes. Here, let me give you this number. Yes, for sure. For sure. So, what else? What else can I answer for you guys? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's not very specific, but
Okay.
I went to the UR office.
Yep.
some Signs.
Yep.
Yeah, they got signs. They get 6 of them.
Yep.
That's not enough.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. I would go back. You can actually, Keller Williams has a site that you can order some from. I wouldn't spend tons of money. You can get them for fairly cheap.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, you could probably look like, maybe even just like Amazon. I would look around. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes.
like they print signs.
Yeah, I've seen.
For open houses, you're talking for open house specifically. Yeah. If you're doing your yard sign, like your for sale sign, yeah, do a little bit more money on that.
Buy a post. I have a sign.
I wish I knew. My team does that for me, so I've never bought a post. I do have my sign. Do they still give you a sign when you sign up with Keller Williams? Or finish?
I ordered mine.
Okay, when
Not
I,
through- I mean, I ordered Keller Williams.
Uh-huh.
Amanda.
Oh, yeah.
The, order sheet.
so you can get your for sale sign, yeah. So, I do have a Keller Williams sign. I can't remember if I bought it or I got it somehow. But I don't use it because Red Sign just does it all. I do want to get a writer to put on my listings because like the listing I have that's in my neighborhood, they know that it's red signed, but they don't connect it with me. But if I had my writer on there that said my name and number, then they would. So I need to look into doing that. I just haven't. Honestly, this is the first year that I've had listings. I'm usually about 50-50, 50% buyers, 50% listings. But right now I'm listing heavy and so I'm just like, I should probably, usually it's more spread out. So,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, maybe I should look into getting one of those writers. But anyways, so yeah, I would definitely keep looking, order on Amazon, and you don't need expensive signs for open houses. Yeah, just those little frames. Yeah. Yep, you're good. Thanks, John. Yep. Any other questions, you guys? Hey, if not, then we're good. You guys are awesome. Thanks for
Very good.
coming and listening to me. Blah. So,
Guys, need signs, I have 6, so.
Yeah.
I
and
need signs.
also you could get on WhatsApp and ask. I bet there's people that would let you borrow. Definitely I would at least ask. What's the worst they're gonna say? No?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would definitely try that. I just haven't ever had to worry